everybody. Welcome to the podcast. This is a Squared Circle Countdown. I'm EJ, and to the left of me is my tag team partner today, Maiko.
I'm here. Let's get going.
You ready? You ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'll tell you right now, one thing's for sure. Last week was an incredible week of wrestling. It was really hard to come up with a list, but we did. This week, expectations were high. Were they met? We'll get into that later in the show. But, I mean, by the looks of the cards, between the St. Patty's Day on AEW, NXT following up from the week before, Raw and SmackDown, of course, Impact coming out of the pay-per-view. We came up with a pretty good list, and we're going to go right to it. So, you ready?
Yes, sir. Literally, we have a list. Let's go.
And everything is right this week, okay? I'm going to point that out. Okay, let's go right into it. Number 10.
Number 10.
Chris, from day one, the goal was to kill the inner circle from the inside. I wanted to defeat, to end the strongest faction in all of AEW, and on top of its remains, I wanted to build one even stronger. And boy, have I ever. Tully Blanchard was absolutely right. Shocking, I know. He's only the greatest mind in the history
you heard
of
it right there.
wrestling.
Number 10 this week is the introduction of the Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle.
MJF pretty much introducing all members. And, of course, laying out the plan of what he's trying to do with the inner circle, trying to destroy it from within. Well, it didn't work, but I'll tell you right now, I think we got the top dogs, and it isn't the inner circle at the moment. It's the Pinnacle. So, real quick, first question for you. What do you think of the segment?
I thought it was impressive. I actually like them better than the inner circle, surprisingly. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the inner circle, I am. And like I said last...
the top dogs, and it isn't the inner circle at the moment. It's the Pinnacle. So, real quick, first question for you. What do you think of the segment?
I thought it was impressive. I actually like them better than the inner circle, surprisingly.
Wow.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the inner circle, I am. And like I said last week, I was telling you I hated MJF. Hated MJF, I'm sorry. I hated him. I didn't want nothing to do with him. But seeing the way he kind of promoted their new group, the way he worked the mic, just how he introduced everybody in his group, I think they're gonna be strong, and I don't know. I don't know who's gonna beat them. Chris Jericho is gonna try to come back, but I don't know.
Well, one thing I'll have to say with that, like I was, reading what was on the internet about this whole segment, and you had mixed reviews from both sides in favor or against. And one thing they say that you would think is against is that it was like equivalent to when Triple H introduced the members of Evolution. And I was like, well, when you think about it, that's like a textbook way, a good way to introduce each member, highlighting their, their strengths of each one of these guys. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, you're going to say it's like how Triple H introduced every member of Evolution. I'll take it. It was a good segment. It told it a story.
Number 9.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
Accidents happen.
It happens. No, I just I like how he did the introductions and tried to lay out the story, how he was trying to destroy the inner circle. But you know what? I'll tell you, we were robbed of a match a year ago when it came to the Elite and the inner circle with the Blood and Guts. I think we have our new Blood and Guts.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
The two
100%.
teams. So hopefully we get to see that maybe at All Out. We still got 2 pay-per-views. I think you got to let it simmer before. You just don't want to blow it right away and then do it at Double or Nothing. But you know what? They might. But I'm looking forward to the story, the next chapter of the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. And I'll tell you, MJF did great work when he was a part of the Dynasty in MLW. I think he's going to do even a better job with this group of FTR, Sean Spears, Wardlow, and of course Tully Blanchard. Before we go on, do you want to add anything else before we go to number 9?
All I gotta say is I'm a fan, and I'm getting me an MJF scarf. One of those things he's got. What is that? A scarf he's got around his neck?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Oh, I already got my shirt.
Sold.
I got my shirt, the Pinnacle shirt, through AEWshop.com. Should be here any moment, and then I'll get screened out by the way for having the 60-second shirt that I own. But
He's already got the shirt. He's ahead of the game over here.
Dude! So the moment they mentioned it, I went on and got it because I was like, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of them at MJF, so I was like, I'm going to show support. Again, I'm a heel sympathizer. I've been saying, I said that since that watch along about a few weeks ago. All right, well, that was number 10. I know it was brief and quick, but I mean,
We're flying through these. Flying. We're
Oh,
flying.
Well, it was a good highlight because, I mean, there wasn't much to it, but I enjoyed it, and it deserved to be a part of the countdown. So that was number 10. Let's go to number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
I don't know what.
You see that?
I saw it. I did.
You saw what I'm talking about.
No, I saw what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about? I
Dude,
had him beat.
No, you
the
had
ref
him.
was all over me, man.
Yeah, the ref was making the right calls, and this.
What are you?
Listen,
what are you talking
dude.
about?
Sometimes you just lose. Things just don't go your way. Just
Oh my
brush,
God, I can't
dust
believe what I'm
yourself
hearing.
off,
Are you picking this up?
dude.
Are
You
you
gotta let
serious?
go of this. You have to let go
You're
of
out of
this.
your mind.
No,
I thought I
you-
could trust you. Clearly,
you need to
you're
calm
not
down.
seeing things straightly.
Just go, get away from it now. Anyway, look,
Sammy, absolutely outrageous.
thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate that. I don't know what to say about this anymore.
Oh my God! Open your eyes!
Yes, you heard it right there. Sami Zayn attacks Kevin Owens. That lands at number 9 in the countdown this week. The story continues between these two rivals. It's going to come full circle this year because they're going to be at WrestleMania. I can't see it going any other way. And
He's
the
nuts.
Yeah, and the reason I say it goes full circle because these guys, they started in high school gyms during their time. I'll tell you, folks, you got to look videos up on YouTube or even go on the Peacock WWE Network up to April 4th if you want to check it out. You got to check out the matches between him, Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen versus El Generico,
Okay.
Sami Zayn. The work they did at PWG, the work they did at Ring of Honor, of course, their matches at NXT Arrival, Takeover, as well as Battleground. I mean, they have put on incredible matches. They have incredible chemistry. They could tell a great story, and we're going to see the next chapter of these two at the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. So, one thing I got to ask you: are you excited to see another chapter in the book of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens?
I'm excited because it's something new. He was talking about conspiracy theories. He thinks the whole wrestling world's after him. You know, he thinks the refs, down to the refs, the wrestlers, the fans. He thinks everybody's trying to, you know, destroy his career. And I think it's a nice touch they're adding to the beginning of the story. You know, it showed them you thought Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to, you know, click a little bit. And then he came out to the ringside for his match, hitting him with that haluva kick. And I'm anxious to see what happens next. I'm anxious.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. They can put on some matches, and then WrestleMania is that type of show that you want to steal the show. And again, like I said, for the fans watching today and the people that are listening to this podcast later on, if go on YouTube, go on WWE Network or Peacock and watch these matches because this is not going to be nothing compared to what we're probably going to see at WrestleMania. And this was a great start. And did you like the setup to the story? Because honestly, this is the start of the beginning of what's going to happen, which will probably end at WrestleMania. Did you like how they introduced us into the storyline between these two again?
It was a different way. That's why I liked it. I didn't think it was going to go into a bigger storyline the way Sami Zayn, you know, started it. You know, I thought he was just basically, I thought he was going to talk to other wrestlers. Oh, I want you in my documentary. I want you to help me show how the world's against me and everything like that. But I didn't think it was going to turn into a big Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens feud, but I'm glad it did. I'm really glad it did. He brought him, invited him out to ringside. He wanted Kevin Owens to see what he thought he saw. with the referee and with his match, and I like how it started, and I think that was a great second story chapter. We saw him invite Kevin Owens to SmackDown before to be in his documentary. Kevin Owens didn't think he wanted to be in it. This time he basically told him no, and it can only go up from here.
Yeah, and you know what? Going off that, I mean, these two, like, if you think about like the combinations today, like they have that great chemistry. I mean, I don't think anyone else would have it as good as like the chemistry that these two would have. I'm excited because we get to see the magic that these two did in the Indies, and they got NXT. They did an incredible job battleground, but WrestleMania, it's a whole different show, and they're gonna put it all out there. And the one thing I got to add, as far as the whole conspiracy thing, is I love how they said that it was the match that no one wanted to see between him and Baron Corbin. And granted, yes, a lot of people think Baron Corbin's the worst heel, and it's go away heat. It's go away heat. No, the guy's a great heel. People just need to. if you hate him that much, he's doing his job. And as far as Sami Zayn, I love the conspiracy, like you said, the conspiracy. You know, remaining time. Tell the boss if he can hear Blueprint. The boss of Blueprint. It's saying time remaining 8:04. Just letting him know.
We have a boss here at Blueprint. Oh, we do. My bad. I didn't see that. There we go.
But
we have a boss, folks.
I just want to let him know. All right. So, yeah. Do you have anything to add? I mean, like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm glad how it was a simple way to introduce this storyline. And it's funny how the simplest things, turned into big stories, and this is another one. Do you have anything to add before we go to number 8?
WrestleMania, here we come. That's all I got to add. Number 8.
All right, I can't wait. All right, so that was okay. Yep, no problem. All right, that was number 9. Let's see who made number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
He won't be able to take this if he yanks back on it, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Penta.
Oh! Snap in the arm of Cody Rhodes. But Cody, look at this, rolls him up. 1, 2, 3.
Lord Penta was not expecting that roll-up.
The winner of this match, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Boy, he took that.
And right there, number 8 goes to Penta and Cody Rhodes in their match on St. Patrick's Day Slam. Of course, Cody Rhodes getting the victory in a simple way, and I'm always a fan of how matches end that way, and that wasn't the first one that on the countdown that ended that way. But, of course, it was made official a week ago when, of course, Penta said some very harsh things about him and his family and his, baby.
Never attack a man's family. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely. But, of course, he struck a chord with attacking his family, setting up the match for this past Wednesday. And, of course, Cody got the victory. So, pretty simple. My first question for you in regards to this, what do you think of the match?
Penta's a guy that I don't think many people, they're definitely going to watch more of his matches now, but I was never a big Penta guy. And, the past 2 weeks led me up to loving this guy. Love everything about him. Love his entrance. Love his outfit. Love his in-ring, out-of-the-ring performance. I loved everything about this match. Penta even made my top 5, which we'll hear later. That's how much I love this match.
Well, you even said, we were texting throughout the week, you said you wanted to get a Penta mask.
I'm ready. I'm going to wear it next week, ladies and gentlemen. Coming soon.
But you know what? I agree with that. I've been actually a fan of Pentagon for a long time. I was a big fan of his work in Impact Wrestling. And then I was excited that when they signed him to AEW, I was like, God, look at the roster with all these guys. I was like, I can't wait to see what he could do. But, of course, for a little bit, they had him team up with his with Ray Phoenix, and I was like, that's good. I like them as a tag team. I love what they did at MLW as a tag team.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this guy on a solo run, and now we're going to see it. obviously he lost this match to Cody Rhodes, but one thing I did like about this match was right afterwards when the heel loses, it's not burying them. When they go and attack the victor, which in this case was Cody Rhodes, to get the heat back. And that's what a heel's supposed to do. And he did a classic move. So, yes, he lost the match, but instantly got the heat. And more importantly, I have to say, I love the fact that he put a leprechaun hat and he's sitting there showing off with the, in the stands.
That had me cracking up. That's different. That's what he brings to the table, difference. And that's what I like about him.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, again, he lost the match, but he got the heat, and that's what I love the most. I like classic wrestling. I'm a fan of the old school style, psychology first before anything else. And right there, you saw it perfectly. And we're starting to see it more and more in AEW, which is the biggest thing that a lot of people criticized AEW about, was that they didn't focus on the old school way, like the psychology of it. And what you saw right there, and it's not the only thing that you saw, and we'll get into that later on the countdown, but overall, great match between these two guys. And Penta, I can't wait to see what he's going to do, because this is just the start of the solo run. Now, before we go on, though, would you like to see more matches between these two competitors?
Oh, 100%. Cody still looks good. Cody, even coming from WWE over to AEW, Cody, I feel like has gotten better and he's evolved more. And then he's doing a lot more behind the scenes too. But every time he does have in the ring matches, nothing's changed. He's still good. He can wrestle with the best. And Penta's just starting. So he has everything different about him. I even like when he talks Spanish to Cody and he has the guy translate for him. I love that. So he brings all kinds of excitement to AEW. And I can't wait to see more.
You know, it's funny that I actually forgot about that point, but thank you for bringing that back up. As far as the heel, like if it's a heel that's a foreign heel, in this case he kind of is. I love when they would speak in their native tongue and they get the translator. I always liked that. And whether it was someone from Japan, like remember with Yokozuna, well, technically he was Samoan, but his character, he was from Japan. He would say what he said, Mr. Fuji would translate, and you've seen it time and time again. I do like that little touch. They add that little touch to his character. Yes, it's going to be a solo run, but he's going to have the manager. But I think he's going to do most of the talking. He can speak English, but I like what they're doing with this. So, yeah, I wanted to just hop on what you just said right there. I did like that part. So, that was number 8 on the countdown. Great match between these two. Let's see who's going to nail number 7.
Number 7.
Top, he barely keep up with this. Took out Alexander. Oh, an elbow drop. A New Day's not done, Joe. No, they are not finished at all. Now it's Kofi. Kofi looking to pick up the charge. Rhodes sets him up. Daybreak. Cover. Hook to the leg. 11-time tag team champions. And the new Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day.
11 time.
I knew you were going to say that.
World Tag Team Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the Hurt Business, New Day, they get number 7 on the countdown. It's a shame for a match like this and something historic is so far back in the countdown. Well, that tells you how good of a week it was as far as the world of wrestling. But we have to put them on the countdown because it was a great match. You got Cedric Alexander, the rookie. Of course, you got the veterans in Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Of course, one of my favorites, Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
One of my favorites of all time. Oh, sorry, just got a text. My bad. ADD. No, I was excited. I was excited. I had a feeling they were gonna, drop the titles, and they did, and it was a great match between the two. But I'll ask you the question, and I got a couple more that add on to it. First, simple one. What'd you think of the match?
As a New Day would say, it's a new day. Yes, it is. And yes, it is, because they won the World Tag Team Champions. And I thought it was a phenomenal match. I'm a big fan of Shelton Benjamin. Even though they lost, I'm a huge fan of Shelton Benjamin, always have been. in single competitions, going to tag team competitions. But all four of them put on a great show. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods comes out on top once again, and I'm excited to see how far they'll go with the tag team titles this time.
And again, it's awesome that they won, and it's historic because they're pretty much gonna like be the tag team that will tie like Ric Flair's record. I can see by the time they're done with their career, they're gonna be 16-time tag champions, and that would never be duplicated. But do you agree with them taking the tag titles off the Hurt Business so soon? And the reason I ask because you got Bobby Lashley being world champion. It would only be fitting that you would have the tag team champions and the Hurt Business holding all the gold. They did for 2 weeks. Do you think it was too soon for them to drop the titles?
One thing I've noticed the past couple weeks, MVP hasn't been walking out with them. He used to walk out with them all the time. He would walk out with Bobby Lashley separate, and then he would walk out with both of them when they came out to wrestle. But he hasn't been coming out with them. All his focus has been on Bobby Lashley. So I don't know, maybe if they're slowly going to take them away or slowly just make them a smaller part of the Hurt Business. But I agree. I think they should have kept them with the tag titles a little bit longer, especially if they're going to focus. Bobby Lashley is the head of the Hurt Business. They should have had them all with gold, but I don't know. I'm anxious to see what they do with them.
Yeah, and it's funny they said that. I was wondering because they were hinting at it before with the breakup between Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
Now, would we see the breakup between them two? Will we see the breakup of both of them? And you would just have MVP with, Bobby Lashley. That remains to be seen. I personally don't want to see that happen. I like this faction. It's different. It is another version of the one at Impact. I get it. But it's different as far as WWE television. I'm enjoying what they've been doing since day one. MVP's a great man on the mic, a great man to represent that and bring these guys. Yeah, with his words, can bring up every member of this faction up. He does better work than most managers are. I think he's up there with Mr. Paul Heyman.
I don't know about that.
I'm not saying he's better. I'm saying
I don't know. I don't know.
As far as elevating his talent, I think he's up there. I don't think he's better. I think he's up there. But but one final question.
I don't know.
Oh, hey, you got your opinion? You don't think? I think
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
No, that's not important. Yeah, you can think that way. I have my way, but I just think he's up there. I think he does a great job elevating his talent in the stable. He talks him up, and that's the way you should do it. If you're the guy that's the mouthpiece, your whole job is to bring him up. And go off real quick, and then I got my last question for you in regards to this match. One thing I will say is that Taz is a great guy on the mic, but he talks more about him and the brand, blah, blah, blah. Like, he doesn't focus on the talent as much. That's one end. And then you got what MVP does. That's the other end. That's all I'm saying as far as, like, elevating, talking up your talent.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I agree. And I think that's why they're putting MVP with Bobby Lashley on Raw, because you see Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Paul Heyman does nothing but talk up Roman Reigns. You don't hear nothing being said about, Paul Heyman this or Paul Heyman that. He's Roman Reigns this, Roman Reigns that. And I think that's what they wanted to bring to the Raw side. AEW has Taz with his group, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, and now they want to make Bobby Lashley and MVP something big. And I think they will become something big. I'm a fan of MVP.
Yeah, same here. And we'll see what happens, what going beyond WrestleMania. But one thing I have to note, and then I got one final question for you. Now, this is obviously the 11th title for New Day. But more importantly, this is the number 14th tag team title for Kofi Kingston, the former WWE champion. Remember, he's had the tag titles with CM Punk and a couple other, he had a few other reigns. I think Cody Rhodes is one of them too. And so that's 14 for Mr. Kofi Kingston. So I have to ask this, and as a whole, where would you rank the New Day as far as best tag teams in WWE history?
I would put them up there. Maybe definitely top 10, top 5, maybe. You think?
You want my opinion?
Well, let's hear it. We're here for opinions.
Okay. Based on what they've done, performance, I think they're the best ever. ever.
You think out of every tag
Ever.
team?
Yeah, they're the only ones that. I mean, you had
I-
Demolition that had the longest reigning tag title reign.
Okay.
They broke that. 11-time champions. Again, they play more hot potato with the titles these days compared to others. But overall, look what they have done. And look at Kofi Mania. What these guys have done for the tag team division. I'll tell you, if it weren't for New Day, I don't think the tag team division would even exist at this point. Because we all have our criticism of how WWE handles their tag team division.
Oh,
But
yeah, horribly.
And if it weren't for the New Day, I think, like I said, it would be like the women's title back in the early 90s. You forget it was there. And I'm trying not to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean about that. That's how they treated the women's title. I think they would do that with the tag titles if it weren't for the New Day. So, me, personally, I think they would be they're top of all time because of what they've done and the mark they left in the tag team division. So, that's just how I feel about it.
I can't argue. I can't argue with that because I 98% agree. So I'm right there with you.
Is there any other tag teams you put on the list or just off the top of your head?
I was always a big Dudley Boys fan. I'm a huge Dudley Boys fan. But I agree with the New Day because even as single competitors, Big E was good by himself too. You took Kofi Kingston, who was good by himself. Xavier Woods was okay, but you put the three of them together and they collaborate amazingly together. And they put on a good show for the fans. Their entrance is different. They were all act goofy and wacky, and there's something that the fans want to see, and they're also great performers too. So you put all that together, and they're one of the best.
Well, you know what? As far as greatest tag team of all time, I cannot debate Dudley Boys being the top of the list because no one has won WWF, WCW, TNA, NWA, and IWGP tag titles. No one's ever done that, but they have. So I'm totally in agreement with you as far as the greatest tag team of all time overall is Dudley Boys. But WWE, I have to go with New Day just for the fact of what they've done in the 7-year span, which is a longer span than what the Dudley Boys did in their 6 years in the WWE. So, before we go on to number 6, do you have anything to add?
All I gotta say is, EJ, get number 6 and get a table. Come on, let's
I
roll
got
number
plenty
6.
right here. I got plenty of tables right here for a party, but they're tables. Okay, that's number 7. Let's go on to number 6.
Number 6.
Yes, sir.
Referee is checking on Sami Callihan. It's part of his job. And Sami was having the conversation, which had Bryan in position. Sami knew what he was doing there.
Sami manipulated the situation right there. What? Oh! God. Look, that's. Oh, my God.
It's disgusting.
Number 6 this week is Sami Callihan, Trey Miguel, of course, on Impact Wrestling. Putting on a pay-per-view style match, though, too. Of course, this story started when Trey came back after his leaving the company for a possible WWE run. Obviously, it didn't pan out. He came back, and immediately they put him in the story with Sami Callihan. If there's anyone that could get underneath your skin, it's that guy. And did a good job, too, because from moment one, anytime Trey Miguel won a match, he'll go backstage, or wherever the situation was, this man is there saying, you're a coward. When things got tough, you ran. You try to run, and, ADD. You run, and when things get tough, you run away. And, of course, he also got someone that he was training to turn against him. He also he done a lot. He even attacked him on a couple occasions. But now this prompted a match between the two on Impact, and man, did they ever deliver! And of course, Sami Callihan does get the victory over Trey Miguel. So my first question for you: what did you think of the match?
They should have made that a pay-per-view match. I'm telling you, that was pay-per-view worthy. Maybe a main event, maybe not, but the whole entire Sami Callihan's a monster. He got under my skin watching the match, and I'm sure he got under Trey Miguel's skin during the whole match. But Trey didn't give up. Trey fought left and right, outside the ring. As much as Sami Callihan was throwing him around, giving him chops to the chest, going after the hurt ankle. Trey didn't give up, and I don't know what would have happened if the ref wasn't in his way when Trey was up at the top rope getting ready to jump on Sammy, but Sammy came out on top. But great match all around. 10 out of 10.
And what you explained there is exactly what we love about pro wrestling, the old school psychology. You work in the part, work in the weakness of the other wrestler, and most importantly, you win with a classic move, and a classic move like a pile driver, because it's so believable when you drop someone on your head. You're not gonna pop right back up real quick. You're gonna get a little dazed when you're dropped on your head. But
he's still laying there right now. Right now, he's still laying there.
Well, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is for other reasons than that. But yeah, of course he is. I mean, it was a good match. So the one thing I will ask you, because going off the possible WWE run, would have you liked to see him in NXT, or do you think this is the best fit for him right now?
Which one, Sammy or Trey?
Oh, Trey. I'm sorry.
Trey, no problem.
Because remember, about a few months ago, he left with his other two MSK of the NXT.
Okay.
He left with the other two members of the Rascals. Of course, they tried out. They went on to NXT. Things didn't work out for him, so he went back to Impact. Would you like to see him in NXT? And if you do, who would you possibly see him in a program with first?
I honestly would like him to stay where he's at. I think he's a good fit as a singles competitor. I think he's doing this thing over here. Why move him? You know, like if they have a good reason to move him over, then move him over, because NXT to me is just as good as AEW. They're both top two shows in my book right now. So wherever they send him, you know, if he stays or goes, but I would like to see him stay. I think he's worth staying at Impact right now.
Yeah, I mean, like MSK is really successful. Obviously, they won the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and they're going to get a shot at the tag titles once Wesley recovers from his hand injury. But Trey Miguel, like, if he was to go over to NXT, I would easily throw him into the cruiserweight title picture with Escobar. You know, yeah, I'll tell you now.
100%.
Obviously, he's going to go into a thing with Jordan Devlin, but if that wasn't happening, I would have loved to see them two go at it right away. But you know what? It's good for Impact to have someone like this on the roster. I mean, you lost 2 guys instead of 3, so that's always good. And and Impact has a really talented roster. So I'm glad that he came back, because we could see a lot more from Trey Miguel. And the fact that you see a guy his size like Rich Swann be world champion, I would love to see Trey Miguel have that same, I guess, what's the word? I'm sorry. Success. I'm
trying to think of the word too. I was trying to like send it to you. Trying to send it to you over Zoom over here.
Success is what I meant to say. Yeah, I screwed that up. So yeah, you get what I'm saying.
It's one of those nights tonight. I'm over here itching my eyes, fighting the cold. You know, it's all right.
Well, man, that was a pretty good match, and again, great ending. I don't think that's the end of it. I think we're going to see a lot more out of Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel. You got 2 big pay-per-views coming up. One Impact Plus special. Of course, at the end of the month, April 24th, you get their next pay-per-view. So I'm sure we're going to see a match between these two in one of those shows. So do you have anything to add before we go to number 5?
I think Impact, like we were talking about a minute ago, Impact the past, last week and this week, when we do our top 5 shows of the week, it's always at the bottom. It's always either 4th or 5th. And I think that's why Impact has to keep guys like him, because Impact's got to keep as many good performers as they can get to have more people, attract more people to their show and raise it up in our rankings and have more people watch that. And, other than the other Raw, SmackDown, keep putting the great matches on with the tag team champions, single competitors, women's division, and just keep raising the bar in the Impact world.
I'll tell you, if we started a show about a few weeks ago, they probably would have been easily number 2, number 1, because they had a hell of a show a few weeks ago. Sadly, we didn't start then. So, but give it time. You will see them you're going to see them somewhere else besides the number 5 on the shows of the week. But that was number 6 on the countdown. Let's see who landed number 5 on the countdown this week.
Number 5.
Check it out.
By Anderson, got personal.
Now they're looking for the Magic Killer once again. They hit it on the outside earlier, but Kingston, the body block sends Anderson down.
Eddie intervenes.
Swinging a miss by Doc Gallows. Kingston.
A running clothesline. Takes Gallows over, but Gallows is not through with Kingston.
Kingston sent into the barricade by Doc Gallows. Carl Anderson gets rolled up by John Moxley. 2, 3. Wow!
Yes, sir.
The inside cradle closed the deal.
The winners of this match, the team of Eddie Kingston and John Moxley.
Oh, but
And you heard it right there, folks. The Good Brothers versus Moxley and Kingston lands the number 5. Yep, on the countdown this week from AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday. Of course, continuing the story, between Moxley, Kingston, and, of course, the Elite with Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. And I guess you want to say the Young Bucks, if they're a part of it. But overall, I mean, really good tag team match. And I wouldn't expect less from these guys, but I'm loving the fact that we got Moxley and Kingston teaming up again. It's refreshing, especially for Kingston. I've always been a fan of his, especially in his run at Impact. But yeah, I'll ask you real quick. I mean, overall, from the match to obviously the attack afterwards, what did you think of the match and the events after?
I thought it was a great match, and it was great to add the Young Bucks in the end because now you got everybody thinking what's going to happen with the Young Bucks, what's going to happen with them and the Good Brothers and everything, and who's going to be on whose side. But talking about the match, I thought the match was great. I thought the promotion that they had Moxley and Kingston talking, what they said, promoting the match before the match was great too. So I'm like you said, I'm a bigger Moxley fan, but I was always a big Kingston fan as well. So I really enjoyed the match.
Yeah, and it's again, they're obviously going to be setting up with something at Double or Nothing. I'm wondering where they're going to go with it. Would there be a 6-man tag? Who would be the third person to go along with them? And I'm wondering where that story is going. I'm excited for it because obviously you're not going to get another title match with Moxley and Omega, but they're going to go somewhere with it. And then I guess you'll probably see Moxley off TV for a certain amount of time. I think, to be honest with you, because knowing how bad of a disaster that ending was to the pay-per-view with the kaboom or lack of kaboom, I bet you if that didn't happen, if it went off perfectly, I think Moxley wouldn't be on TV. But yet, I guess we're going to see a continuation of the story a little bit. I don't know. A lot of people were speculating that's the reason why you still see him on TV. If not, he probably would have been off. But overall, I mean, I'm excited to see where they go with this. And obviously, Double or Nothing is probably the end of that story, and they'll move on from there. But and also in that process, when you think about it, because my question for you is, like, what are your thoughts on Kenny Omega, this character as of late? Not only through AEW, but you got to remember this guy is competing in a title versus title match April 24th on Impact when he's facing the Impact World Champion, Rich Swann. I mean,
ooh, I can't wait for that match.
What do you think of the character, as of late on both programs?
I think they're building Kenny Omega well. I feel like on AEW, when they do, I think they focus more for some reason on the Good Brothers on AEW more than Kenny Omega. They had the whole Christian Cage thing that he came out and they had him and Kenny Omega interaction and but other than that, I like Kenny Omega, what they do with him more on Impact than on AEW. But I think overall they're doing a great job with his character.
You know what? And you know what? Now that you said that, I totally forgot about that. Christian Cage could be your third guy.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. That's stupid, mate. But of course, he did the promo when he talked about, like, I'm coming for the world title.
Yeah.
And he knows he has to earn his way to it. But it'd be a good start, going to the 6-man tag and being the guy that pins him. But I'm liking what they're doing here. Of course, I love seeing Kingston, on the side with Moxley. And as far as the Omega character, I'm enjoying what he's doing. A lot of people have criticized the little hokiness, like when he came down snapping his fingers with the chair. It's like, okay, that's his character. What's the big deal? He's over cocky, and of course, he's got the Good Brothers with him, so I could see him being really cocky. And I like what he's doing at Impact because the thing is, yes, in his eyes, he's looking down on that promotion, but it's drawing eyes to a promotion. I love this whole partnership with them, Impact, and New Japan because you've seen, matchups you thought you never would see. I love that. I love that. And it'll keep things fresh. You're going to have guys coming in from other promotions challenging for the title, and it's not the same people every week. So it's awesome when you have a partnership like this. And it's not only 2 promotions, it's 3. And the possibilities are endless. But overall, Kenny Omega's character, in my opinion, he's been knocking it out of the park. I can't wait. And I'll tell you right now, early prediction, it's going to be obvious. We're going to see a AEW and Impact World Champion on April 24th. And it's going to be Kenny Omega and not Rich Swann. Sorry, Rich, I'm a big fan, but you're losing.
No, 100%. Kenny Omega all the way. Just the way they're promoting Kenny Omega. Like, you see a lot of Rich Swann too, but not as much as you see Kenny Omega. And the way they made Kenny Omega's character, he stands out more than Rich Swann. So I think Kenny Omega all the way. Rich Swann doesn't stand a chance.
Well, again, it was a good run. He won the title. I would be surprised if he pulled it off. And what a big thing that would do for wrestling if Omega was to drop the title to Rich Swann. But again, we got, about a month to 3 days before that match. We got WrestleMania off between then. We got WrestleMania. So we'll talk more as it gets closer to that. And maybe we'll start doing more predictions, too. I guess we'll start with WrestleMania. But, anything to add, number 5, before we go to number 4?
I'm ready for number 4. Let's get it.
Who hit number 4? We'll find out right now.
Number 4.
We will see.
First, Sheamus going for another break. Oh, a spear in midair. Cover. Lashley has beaten Sheamus.
Here's your winner, the almighty WWE Champion, Bobby Lashley.
Yes, you heard it here, folks. Bobby Lashley and Sheamus get the honors to be number 4 in the countdown this week, coming from Monday Night Raw. And again, a show that's been really critical, that's always been criticized, all of a sudden is producing great television as of late, producing 1 or 2 great matches each hour to keep our interest. And that was the biggest problem a lot of the fans had when they come to watching that product. But here we are, the end of the show. These 2 mammoths, these 2 big men go one-on-one, laying into each other, beating the piss out of each other. And you heard it right there. Lashley gets the victory over Sheamus. So the first question I have for you, like every other match that we talk about in the countdown.
I love these questions. Keep them coming, EJ. Keep them coming.
Don't be a smart ass. What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was great. Sheamus was even having trouble getting his hands around big old Bobby Lashley. He's trying to do his move where he grabs his head and bangs on his chest like 10 times, and he was having trouble doing that. But Bobby Lashley's a big guy. Like, to get control of Bobby Lashley, to be able to even toss him around the ring once or toss him out of the ring, that takes a lot. So I thought they put on a great match, and that was a great way to end Monday Night Raw.
And, yeah, it's funny that you say, like, he had a hard time. But you know what? Overall, he did put a fight into him. Like, think about the 2 prior weeks with The Miz and, of course, Bobby Lashley. The Miz didn't stand a chance. He got his ass whipped in both encounters. Made him look bad in a way. But, come on. Reality, him and Bobby Lashley, come on. Would you expect it any other way?
That's like putting me in the Hurt Lock. Like, come on now. Like,
yes, I agree with that. But with Sheamus, we know he's a legit badass too. He's a strong guy. He lays his shit in, and he brings the best out of people. And we discussed this last week that he brings the best out of Drew McIntyre. And if you've seen it, I think he brought the best out of Bobby Lashley and made him even more credible than what he is, prior to this match. And kudos to Sheamus for being a guy that could be able to be counted on to do this, through it, making his opponents look good. And obviously that's what you want to do, especially when you got, the new champion, someone that's earned his way to this spot. You want to make him look more credible. And that's the part of being professional too. And Sheamus is definitely one of those guys. He'll go into a match and he will make them look like $1 million, and especially when it's really needed, like in this situation. So that's all I have to say about that. I got one quick question for you before we go on to the next part of the countdown. And would you like to see a triple threat between them, or do you want to stick with the? We talked about this, and we were hypothetically talking about it. Obviously, it's going to happen in a fatal four-way because of Miz and Morrison doing the Bad Bunny thing with Damian Priest. But would you be interested in a triple threat, or would you still say no? I want one-on-one Lashley McIntyre Mania.
Now that we've seen Sheamus and Bobby Lashley do a one-on-one, I've actually changed my mind on that. I would love to see a triple threat match because you have Drew McIntyre and Sheamus with their feud, and I think they were trying to end that at Fastlane, but keep it going at least until WrestleMania. Sheamus did a great match with Drew McIntyre, put on a phenomenal show, did a phenomenal show with Bobby Lashley, so why not put them all three in the main event? They all earn their rightful spot. So I would do a triple threat match.
And that might lead to that because, I mean, you still didn't get a conclusion between these two from the match the week prior when they pretty much they slammed.
Forget the Miz. Who wants the Miz? The Miz. Forget the Miz. Triple threat match.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that. And again, it does make sense because the week prior, you had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre go to a no contest when they slammed into each other with steel steps, and then you got Drew McIntyre that wasn't given the opportunity for a rematch. Now he's going to get at Mania, but then you still have the you won't have the conclusion to the storyline between Sheamus and McIntyre. So I mean, it does make sense. Will we get there? We'll find out. But as of right now, it's still Drew McIntyre and Lashley at Mania. And I'll tell you, there's been plenty of times we thought we were just going to get a one-on-one encounter, and then it turns out it would be a triple threat. You've seen it with WrestleMania 20 with Triple H, HBK, and Chris Benoit. You saw it with Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and
Rey
Mysterio at WrestleMania 22. And hell, you've seen the Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania 2000 with The Rock, Mick Foley, Big Show, and Triple H. And all these times, every one of these matches, it was a one-on-one encounter, and as it got closer, some within a couple of weeks, they added the second or third person. So that remains to be seen. But overall, great job by these guys. They did an incredible job ending the show, as they should. If you're in the main event, you got to put on a good show, and they did not disappoint. So
absolutely.
That was number 4 in the countdown. Let's see who made number 3.
Number 3.
Start plants Kai. Rolling fireman's carry there starts perhaps with the opportunity to put Kai away. No!
Kai, the adrenaline starting to kick in. Wherewithal to get back to her feet, and now hoisting up Zoe Stark. What a kick! Gonzalez coaching up Kai on the outside. Dakota Kai.
Number 3 this week, Zoe Stark and Dakota Kai from WWE NXT this past Wednesday night, and a great one-on-one encounter. And Zoe Stark is someone that's new to the roster, is really making a name for herself. Yeah, she was in a losing effort against Dakota Kai, but man, did she really stand out in this incredible one-on-one encounter. And as you can see, for the people that are watching the video right now, I got the gift of that very same spot. Now, it's funny that we were talking about Shelton Benjamin because that one spot when Zoe Stark leaps off the top rope right into Dakota Kai's sweet chin music right into the kick. First thing I thought of was Shelton Benjamin.
Shawn
Michaels from 2005. So, but again, I mean, overall, it was a great match. What did you think of the match between these two young ladies?
Zoe Stark's a strong woman. That's all I got to say. She's a strong woman. I enjoyed the whole match. I kind of knew Dakota Kai was going to win right from the jump, but Zoe Stark gave her a good fight. Went in there, hard clotheslines outside the ring, killed her inside the ring, but Dakota Kai came out on top. I love the match. And
again, I think the part that really stood out was obviously the spot where Zoe leaped off the rope right into a kick. Everyone was talking about that on social media. Again, it got high praise. I didn't see hardly any negativity about this match, or at least on Twitter and websites like review the shows. I try to like look out there to see what the community's saying, and I didn't see any negativity. So kudos to them, the Zoe Stark and Dakota Kai, putting on a hell of a show this past week on NXT. One thing I will say though about Dakota Kai, we were talking about Sheamus being that person to elevate their talent. Dakota Kai is another one of those competitors that can really elevate their opponents when needed. No matter what situation you put that girl in, she knocks it out of the park. And it's a sin that I don't want to see go main roster, but eventually it's going to happen. But until then, anything they put her in, I enjoy everything this girl's done, including the turn last year at War Games. That was unexpected, and boy,
I love that.
I loved the turn.
I loved it.
Yep, and from that moment on, I think she only got better. And again, this week did not disappoint. Put on a hell of a match. And look, again, we were talking about women's division. Were they being taken seriously? Here we are for the second week in a row. We're going to have a women's match in the top 3. That tells you a lot that some of these divisions are being focused on a lot more than and it's evident because here they are, landing in the top 5 of the countdown. Sometimes in the power rankings. I mean, I had the new tag champions in there, and I mean, well, you'll be surprised what I have this week as far as my power rankings, and I know you do too. But
I'm ready to see. I'm ready to see who the. I think we also have some women in the top 2 too. I think.
Oh yeah,
well, that's a surprise.
Yes, absolutely. But all I got to say is that NXT Women's Division is by far my favorite. I think it's the best. And again, knowing what AEW is doing with the women's division right now, they're really working on it. And they're doing a good job on their end, rebuilding that division. I will not, discredit what they're doing. They're doing a hell of a job. But right now, NXT, I'm enjoying everything they do this every single week. And one of my favorite competitors on that roster is Dakota Kai.
And I think to just top that off real quick, I think that's what makes a show, not just having a good men's division, just not having a good tag team division. You have to have at least 1 or 2 teams or 1 or 2 people in each division, to bring up the division and to make them all better. And that's what makes a show. And that's what NXT and AEW are doing, and Raw and SmackDown have to do more of. Get people in there, singles competitors. And Dakota Kai is amazing singles competitor as she is tag team competitor. As her partner, Rachel Gonzalez, she's an amazing singles wrestler, an amazing tag team wrestler. So I would like to see what they have more in store for the women's division also.
Well, it seems like Raquel Gonzalez is going to go to singles competition for now. Will she beat Io Shirai? We'll find out at the TakeOver in about a little over a week. But, yeah, I mean, again, you said it. You got to have the complete package when it comes to your whole brand. Tag team, men's, women's, and NXT has all 3. So that was number 3 on the countdown this week. We got 2 more spots. Who's going to land number 2? We'll find it out.
I don't know.
Right? We'll find it out now. Here
number 2.
Number 2.
And Daniel, take a close look, because if you beat Roman Reigns on Sunday at Fastlane, that's the man Edge that you'll face in WrestleMania. Spear by Edge. Cover. Hook of the leg. Edge is the winner. He's the special enforcer Sunday. Here is your winner, Edge.
Number 2 this week goes into the world of SmackDown on Fox, and that is the match between Jey Uso and Edge for the chance to be the special enforcer for, currently tonight's match at Fastlane for Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Now, obviously, they're doing it because you got the lackey. You don't want to get the 2 competitors that are going after for the title. You don't want any physical confrontation. So this is a way to keep them away from each other in a way, even though at the end of this, of course, Roman Reigns gets a spear on Edge, but this was a good step, a good added chapter to the story of Edge versus Roman Reigns here at WrestleMania. So, real quick, basic question, and then we'll go on from there. What did you think of the match?
Edge, I don't think Edge lost a step. I really don't. I thought Edge looked phenomenal. He kept up with Jey Uso because Jey Uso is a fast competitor. He's a fast-paced wrestler, a high-flyer wrestler, and you got to be in great shape to keep up with all the moves he does, to be able to counter the moves. And I think Edge did a great job of putting on a great match and finishing it off with a spear at the end. I loved it.
And it's funny that you said that because, yeah, this is like technically the, I guess, second or third match that he's been back. And that's discount like the two Rumbles. Take away those two. And then he had that great, it's the third one. Yeah, the two great matches with Randy Orton. And that's a whole different style. Of course, Randy Orton, slow-paced, methodical. I mean, he's perfect the way he does it. It's not as fast-paced as Jey Uso. Now, that's where I was wondering going into that match was how was he going to be able to keep up? And, man, he was able to. He was able to, and kudos to him for keeping up and putting on a hell of a show. And Jey Uso alongside with him, putting on a great match.
Nah, I was worried a little bit. I was like, how's Edge going to do it? Are they just going to have Jey Uso beat up on him a lot or do his moves over the rope and just keep Edge moving around the ring a lot? But Edge kept right there with him, and I was surprised. He put on a great match.
Well, the thing I liked, too, was you had the great selling from both guys. I mean, Edge's ribs, Jey Uso was attacking his ribs, and then you look at his ribs, like he had the marks. He had, like, welts on there. So,
bad.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
It's bad.
Well, it looked good on camera, and he sold it off. Obviously, it was nothing, but he sold it off. And also, the one thing I showed that I saw that he showed was to make it more believable was the fact that when he did certain things, he was making, I'm having a hard time breathing, which sold the ribs even more. If your ribs are jacked up, you're going to have a hard time breathing. So he really sold it off perfectly. But credit to Jey Uso as well because his bad shoulder. And he landed the big move with the splash, and he couldn't turn him over, and he's trying to turn him over with one arm. Of course, it saved his move, because he wasn't able to get the pin right away. So you save his big move. You don't just, hurt his move, because one thing I hate, and we all agree on this, when someone hits their big move, the finisher move, I hate when you get the kickouts. When it's a finisher, it's a finisher. And
that's why they call it the finisher.
Absolutely. And this is one of the moments where you hit the big move, but because of the situation that he couldn't turn him over, he got the kick out. So protected the big move. I respect that. But both men sold their asses off on their injuries, that they both attacked each other's injuries. And overall, you had a great match between Edge and Uso, and Edge was able to keep up. So you could see a guy that's 46, 47 years old, a well-rounded athlete. I mean, how can you not say he's the GOAT?
Oh, you can't take away from Edge. And like you said earlier, the different wrestling style from him and Randy Orton. Randy Orton's slow because he wants to taunt his opponent. Pick at all the opponent's body parts, hitting them in the leg and the arms, keeping them suffering. Jey Uso just wants to move fast-paced and get the match over with and end it as quick as possible. And Edge did a great job keeping up with that wrestling style.
Yep, I totally agree. And, of course, we'll see what happens next. I mean, we're going to watch Fastlane tonight and see where they go with the next chapter. How did he handle the situation, be the special enforcer for the Universal title match? So that was number 2 on the countdown. Last week, number 1 went to Finn Balor and Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Who got number 1 this week? We're going to find out right now.
Number 1.
Let's find out, please.
Britt is thinking powerbomb through the table for Thunder Rosa, but Rosa, oh, Lord. Thunder Rosa has got Britt hooked over the shoulder.
Oh, no. She's not going to do this, is she?
Fire Thunder driver through the table.
Both ladies are damaged goods. Thunder Rosa going for the cover, going for the win. Can she?
Yes, she
does.
Thunder Rosa has won this amazing event.
The winner of this.
And And number 1 this week goes to the world of AEW. And again, yeah, we were talking about how the women's division has been elevated in the last month or so on AEW. Yeah, I don't think you could get any better than this.
That took me back to the old ECW days.
Yes, this is the ending of a blood feud. Textbook, perfect. I think we're going to spend a few minutes on this one because I'll tell you now, I was totally into this match, and a lot of praise online. And we're going to get to one of the questions because when I saw the rating from a certain guy, I was like, holy crap. And that's how you know. Someone that's very critical of some of the women's matches, for him to rate it, well, of course, we'll get into that. Real quick, it was the first ever women's lights out match. It was the settle feud between these two ladies. This was delayed because of issues with contracts. Plenty of great spots, but I'll get into that in a second. I want to get your take. What'd you think of the match?
There wasn't one single bad part in that match. Like I said, it took me back to the old great ECW days. There wasn't every weapon brought into there, blood all down their faces. They used every weapon right. They actually used stuff. They don't just pull it out from under the ring and not use it, let it sit there. They used everything, pulled out all the stops. I couldn't think of one bad part in this match. I got hyped too watching it. I was sitting there watching it on my phone, watching it. I'm sitting there jumping up and down, getting all excited on the edge of my seat. I loved it. We could talk about the match all night, actually. We have a whole show about that match.
Yeah, definitely can, because I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to talk about the spots in the match, and the thing I want to, group it up together to one little thing that I liked about each and every one of these spots. First one, Baker suplexes Thunder Rosa onto the chairs. That was the one big move from the top, second rope, okay? That was the one big move. Then the powerbomb, when Thunder Rosa powerbombed Britt Baker onto the thumbtacks. That was another big spot. And, of course, the lockjaw, on Thunder Rosa. And then, of course, the Thunder Driver to Baker from the apron through the table on the floor. Every single one of these big moves. And there were plenty other big moves, but those were the biggest in that match. The thing I loved about it the most, it meant something. Psychology, my friend. Every move you do, if you're going to use a big move, you go for a pin. You just don't do it, then show off to the crowd. That's what I've always hated about suicide dives with certain wrestlers, where they would just go and dive out to the ring. Hey, show off. Hi, yeah, look at me. I did this move. No, if you suicide dive, grab your guy, throw the motherfucker back in there, get the pin.
You don't play around. That's what a match is. You do it, and like you said, you don't stand there and show off like you're a football game. You scored a touchdown, you're dancing around. You just do it, make your statement, and move on.
And every one of those, every part of those spots in the match, I mean, they did that. Everything made sense. I watched it twice to see if there was anything I missed. Was there anything that wasn't no connecting of the dots? Is there anything? There was nothing. There was nothing.
Not one bad part of that match, EJ. Not one.
It was virtually a perfect match. And these type of matches are crash and burn. And I talked about this in the watch along with you a couple weeks ago. And then we kind of talked about it for a second last week. My favorite crash and burn type match was TLC 2 WrestleMania X7. Everything made sense. It wasn't just thrown in there just for the sake of doing it. Everything meant something. And in this match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, everything meant something.
Every single thing.
It was perfect. I might want to watch it again once we're done here.
Oh, I will too tonight. I definitely will watch it tonight. I'm going to see the ending of Fastlane, but I'll watch it. It's like a little bit of Fastlane, just a little bit. But I'll watch the ending. But I'm definitely watching that match again tonight. Definitely.
Dude, it was that good. Now, the one thing I saw, again, I always scour the internet to see what people say about certain matches. I just want to get a perspective of what people think about it. And this one, I saw this and was like, holy crap. Dave Meltzer, and we all know who he is. He's the guy that, journalist with Pro Wrestling, gives his little star ratings. Now, He gave high praise to the match with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair back at Evolution. Remember in 2018, the all-women's pay-per-view?
Yes, I do.
The hardcore match.
Yeah.
He rated this higher than that. He gave
higher?
He gave it a 4.75 out of 5, and that is a huge rating.
Oh
Huge
my
rating for a match
goodness.
like this. And
Was he? Oh my God.
Do
Was
you-
he
do you
drunk?
agree-
He never gives that high of a rating.
well, men's he does, but in women's not so much. But do you agree with that rating? And if you don't, what would you give it?
If I don't agree with that rating, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I agree with that rating. That should have been a 5.0 match. Like it's just they took it to, and another thing I like that match too is that JR was announcing it too, and that just made it even better. But they took it to a whole nother level. They did an old school wrestling hardcore match, and they made it what everybody wanted. And that's something that AEW is doing on all platforms, on all levels. They're just taking it to the next level. And I think that's going to be in everybody's memories for forever, that match.
And then we all talked about Becky Lynch with the iconic photo of her up in the with the fans when she got busted open by Nia Jax right before that Survivor Series match. Her arms raised like this and bloodied. We just got that iconic photo of Britt Baker all bloody looking up, and then she starts grinning. You 3 things you have: Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, when he passed out in the sharpshooter, when he raised up and the blood dripping down his face. First iconic photo. Becky Lynch right before Survivor Series 2018, busted nose, arm raised. 2021, St. Patrick's Day Slam. Then you got Britt Baker grinning as she's blood just pouring down her face. That is going to be an iconic photo that we're going to see for years to come. And this is going to be one of those matches that are going to be talked about for a long, long time. Because
for forever.
I don't know how you go. If this match was earlier in the night, like mid show, there was no way you were topping that. You weren't topping that. You couldn't follow that. That's why it was great. Unsanctioned, lights out, end of the show, because nothing could have topped what we saw at the end of that show.
And you're never going to see nothing like that ever again. Honestly, probably not. I don't think no. A men's match may top that, but it's going to take a lot to top that match.
Yeah, it definitely is. And one more thing I'll add before we go into the power rankings: 2 women that are topped in women's, like pro wrestling for women. Britt Baker as a heel, and I'll tell you now, not many is going to outdo Thunder Rosa. A lot of people. She is beloved in the community, and rightfully so, because she is an incredible talent. We're going to see a lot from her, and holy crap, did they both deliver? And I can't wait to see what they will do next on both ends, whether they're facing each other or in other programs with other women wrestlers.
Ooh, I'm ready to leave this stream and go watch the match now.
Well, before you do that, how about we go into the power rankings?
Good idea. Good idea.
Shows of the week. So here we go. We nailed all 10 of the countdown. We're done talking about that. Now let's talk about the shows as a whole. Let's see who made the top 5 shows of the week.
Number 5.
Number 5 this week, Impact Wrestling. They had a good solid show, but besides Trey McGill and Sammy Callahan, any other match okay, but won't take away again. It's a good show. Number 5 on the count.
Number 4.
Number 4 goes to Friday Night SmackDown. Again, I mean, they had a couple good matches. Won the main event, but I mean, it was only a couple things in there. It's still a good, solid show. SmackDown always, performs at a high level. They always put on good shows. They don't disappoint. But, sorry, this week you got number 4.
Number 3.
Of course, number 3 goes to Monday Night Raw. It's weird that we're talking about Monday Night Raw in such a positive way. As opposed to a year ago, we were going, what the fuck am I watching a 3-hour show for when all we're going to do is complain about it? But
all they do is talk. That's all they did was talk on the show. We want to see wrestling. They would just talk.
But you're seeing more and more wrestling. and you're seeing a lot more and more of them trying to keep you watching hour to hour to hour, putting on 3 basically main events of each hour with little things in between. They grab my interest, and it's a lot easier to watch as of late. So this week, they get number 3 with the show they got, with the match with the tag titles, with Sheamus and Lashley in main event. And then also, it sucks that we couldn't put on a countdown, but Matt Riddle defending the title against Mustafa Ali. I mean,
that was actually good. It was actually a good match. I thought it was going to be a stupid match, but I actually enjoyed that match.
So you had 3 great matches in that show, and they had little things in between too. So overall, they got number 3 this week.
Number 2.
Of course, number 2, so going from number 1 spot to number 2 this week. NXT on USA got the number 2 spot this week. I mean, they had a lot of good matches. Yeah, like I said, Dakota Kai and Zoe Stark. You had the great tag team match with Breezango and Legado Fantasma. Of course, you even got the main event match.
That was that's good.
Overall, you had a really solid show, but it sucks because it falls to number 1 to
Number
this.
1.
Number 1 this week, going from number 2.
Rightful spot.
Like it was boom, boom, boom. Maybe it went to wrestling.
Hour, man. We're gonna get this. I'm gonna get this.
Okay. Number 5, who do you got this week?
Number 5, Drew McIntyre. I know people don't really, they're not fans of Drew McIntyre. They might say he's bland, but I actually thought he cut a good promo this week. From his promo to his match, I liked at the end of his match with the Miz, he would stand against the rope and he went 1, Miz is down. He's got 2. He's got Sheamus. He's got to finish. And then he'll meet Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. So I Drew McIntyre number 5. I thought he did an exceptional job this week.
All right. Well, my number 5 this week, and then like I said, that they didn't make the countdown. Maybe next week we'll do honorable mentions. Maybe we'll add that little segment to it right before the number 1.
I'm excited.
And this would definitely be one of them. And, of course, I got to put him in the power rankings. Matt Riddle at number 5 this week with his successful U.S. title defense against Mustafa Ali. That is no one that is like going to be a pushover. He took it right to Matt Riddle, but Matt Riddle retained. So that's who's on number 5 for me.
I like it.
And number 4, well, this is going to be a first for the show. We actually got the same person on the number for the same slide.
Who could it be? Who is it?
Well, for you, it's Edge, and for me, it's Edge. So we'll go with you first. Why did you go with Edge at number 4 this week?
You had to put Edge in the countdown. I don't want to make him last. He didn't deserve top 2, but Edge still put on a good performance in his first match back in 10 years on SmackDown. He did a great job keeping up with Jey Uso. He's doing a good job with selling the whole him and Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania. So he had to make the countdown. So I picked Edge number 4.
Well, me, obviously, the credible return match on SmackDown in over 10 years against Jey Uso. And the thing that we discussed the most about that was the fact that he was able to keep up with someone as quick as Jey Uso. And, again, delivered an incredible match. You beat a guy like Jey Uso. Now you're going to be the special enforcer for the world title match or the universal title match at Fastlane. So that's who I have for number 4. All right. Number 3, who do you have this week?
Number 3, Trey Miguel. Like we were talking about earlier, him and Sami Callihan put on a phenomenal match. He hung in there even with the ankle injury. Sami Callihan beating him up badly, tossing him around like he was nothing. Trey Miguel gave him everything now. He hit Sammy Callahan with everything he had, everything. And it just wasn't enough to pull it off. But it was enough to put him in number 3 in my top 5 power rankings. So.
All right. My number 3 this week is Bobby Lashley coming off a great match with Sheamus to end Monday Night Raw. It was an incredible main event match. And if you're going to beat someone like Sheamus, you have to be in the power rankings. And that's why I put him on number 3. Okay, number 2. Who do you have this week, my friend?
Number 2, who I should have put as number 1, but number 2, next time she'll make number 1. And if she has another amazing match like she did, I picked Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, like we were talking about just a minute ago, put on a phenomenal match. A match that we're never going to forget about. But overall, I just like her performance. Like I said, not one bad part of that match. And she definitely was, if not number 1, if not number 2, she should have been number 1. So that's my fault, Thunder Rosa.
All right. Well, hey, it's your list. You put it however you want to put it. And who I'm putting on number 2 this week is the 11th time World Tag Team Champions, The New Day.
It's a new day.
You beat a possible Hall of Famer and Shelton Benjamin and a superstar in Cedric Alexander. And not only that, when you beat them too and become the 11th time Tag Team Champions, without a doubt, you got to put them on the list. So they got my number 2 on the list. So here we go. We got one more spot. Who's going to be our number 1s this week? Who do you got this week?
I'm going to say it again. It should have been Thunder Rosa. But my number 1 is Penta this week. Penta put on a phenomenal match. I mainly picked him because I've never really seen a lot of his matches, and seeing him wrestle Cody Rhodes this week really wants me to see him even more and see who else he's going to wrestle and all of his performances down the road. But he put on a phenomenal performance with Cody Rhodes. Everything about his character I love, from the speaking Spanish to the mask he's wearing. So he made number 1 on my list this week.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with what you're saying right there, because he won you over. So if that's enough to put him at number 1. Because the way you just spoke about him right there it's a great reason for you to put him at number 1. So I wouldn't even beat yourself up on that one. That was a good reason to put him at number 1, honestly. But that's yours. Your number 2 is my number 1 this week, and that's Thunder Rosa, coming off a great hardcore match with Britt Baker, getting the victory, and putting on in my opinion, was a 5-star match, not a 4.75 star match. I would give it a 5-star. And this is the start of what we're going to see with Thunder Rosa and AEW. It's a sin what happened with NWA, because she was like the women's champion. She was going to do great things there, but of course the pandemic kind of ruined that. But I'm glad she's over here, because we would have saw what we saw this past Wednesday on Dynamite. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our power rankings. All right. Man, we covered it all. We did the top 10 of the list. We gave the top 5 shows of the week, and we just gave our power rankings. But you know what? We're not the moral authority. We're not the authority here. This is our list. We want to hear your list, of whether it's the power rankings, the shows of the week, or even give us your top 5 of the top 10 moments of the week. Hit us up on Twitter at @SquaredTop10 on Twitter. Give us your list. We want to hear it. That's the point of the show. We give our list. We want to hear your list. We want to engage with you. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast, we'll have the link in the description below. And for the podcast, most importantly, each and every week, we're live exclusively on Facebook Gaming under Blueprint Entertainment. We're also going to put the link in the description below, so you can click on and make sure you give him a follow. Mike, which is a part of Blueprint Entertainment, puts on a show every Tuesday night, and I believe he's still doing The Walking Dead series.
I think he changed it up. Well, he did The Walking Dead, and then I think he did The Last of Us near the end.
That's
of
it. That's right. Yeah,
last week's stream too.
That's right. I forgot the description. He did have that in there. So he's on The Last of Us, but check it out every week, Tuesday nights. And then we're live every Sunday night. We're going to try to keep it at 8:30. One thing we want to note real quick is that we will be doing a watch along for both nights of WrestleMania weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. We're going to do the watch along. We wanted to do Fastlane, but I thought it would be better to just take this break from this pay-per-view and focus on the big one in about a couple of weeks, both nights of WrestleMania. And also, it just won't put me in the doghouse, okay? I'm going to be honest with you.
Me too. I've been sleeping on the sofa.
Well, that's comfortable, so I'm okay with it. Overall, everyone, thank you for tuning in again for another great episode of Squared Circle Countdown. We'll be here next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this channel. And, of course, we'll have the podcast released tomorrow morning. So if you missed anything, we'll release the podcast tomorrow morning. And you could go on all podcast platforms, Anchor, iTunes, Google Play, you name the podcast platform, we're part of it. Spotify, we're even on that. Look at the name Squared Circle Countdown, and make sure you subscribe. And if you can't catch us live, you can listen on there.
Check us out.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the Squared Circle Countdown.